today's cup of coffee, found an article that found was quite fascinating the other day. This comes from Daily Mail by Madison, Burgess, and it was August the 24th of 2023. And showing mobile phone videos to gorillas can cause them to fight and bully each other, according to primate expert.
How is that not shocking? How is that not shocking, for real? Because social media rots the brain.
Well,
and what videos were they showing them?
Well, that's the thing, and we'll read that and then we'll discuss it, because I think that this is deeper than just surface level, like most things are.
Right.
And the intelligent creatures could start to compete with each other for spots to watch videos being shown to them by humans through glass enclosures, the conservationist told Mail Online. It comes after a zoo in Toronto asked visitors to stop showing gorillas their phones as it's upsetting them and affecting their relationships.
Yeah.
Zookeepers put up a sign advising the public to refrain from showing them any videos or photos, as some content can be upsetting and affect their well-being. I think that's a little redundant there, but anyhow.
That is very redundant.
Ian Redmond, OBE, tropical field biologist and conservationist, explained that showing the gorillas videos on phones can, quote, cause tensions in the group, and the zoo wants to maintain peace, end quote.
Well,
The sign put up by Toronto Zoo, which is the one that we are showing as our backdrop, but Kia can't see it.
I can't see it.
It reads, quote, for the well-being of gorilla troop, please refrain from showing them any videos or photos, as some content can be upsetting and affect their relationships and behavior within their family, end quote. This must have had a word count to it, because if they're saying this, they've said about the same thing 3 times already.
Yeah.
The zoo's decision came after videos went viral of gorillas being fascinated by mobile phones from inside their enclosures. Redmond said, quote, the phone introduces environmental enrichment into their enclosure. If you have to keep animals in captivity, you can't just have one environmental enrichment, as it will cause arguments, fights, and social disruption. This is the N+1 rule, end quote. N is the number of animals, and the N+1 is the number of enrichments. So there should be no need for competition, similar to giving toys to children. That's just like if you've got a room full of small children, and you give one a toy.
And the other one nothing.
The other one's sitting there going, So that's what they're saying, that is something similar is happening with the gorillas, which we can see that. We can understand that. And a spokesman from the Toronto Zoo told Mail Online, quote, the sign at the gorilla habitat went up in 2017 when Nazir, one of the male gorillas, transitioned from the family group, which includes females, to the bachelor troop with his brother. During this transition time, he became overly interested in cell phone pictures and videos guests were showing him. It didn't take long for him to assimilate into life with his brother, and his interest in cell phone footage lessened. Animal welfare is a top priority at Toronto Zoo, which includes lots of varied enrichment activities, and as such, he is thriving in the bachelor troop. There have been discussions to take the sign down altogether, end quote. I don't know that they need to.
No, they do not need to take that sign down. As a matter of fact, they probably need to, put more signs up.
Yeah.
Because, seriously, social media does affect the brain. And if it's showing that on the monkeys, imagine what it's doing to us.
Absolutely. And Redmond believes the way the device can cause tension in the group is, quote, evident in human prisons, end quote. Now, I can see this very much because, we do have personal experience on these things. And he added, quote, zoos need more than one enrichment if the phones are being introduced. Each individual who may be interested in the device would need a chance to do so without being bullied by others. Smartphones are compelling and give the life of a captive ape in social and sensory deprivation. It's going to be appealing to them. If you're stuck in the same enclosure, seeing photos of new faces is going to be interesting, end quote. Because when you have sensory deprivation, and that is what happens in prisons,
people.
And that is very psychologically and spiritually harmful.
It's soul breaking.
Absolutely, it's soul breaking. Now remember that prisons are an industry, and the people are the product. It has nothing to do with trying to correct someone's behavior.
No, it is not a correctional facility as far as that.
No, it's bullshit. It has been for many years. And Redmond is renowned for his work with gorillas and has been involved in more than 50 documentaries on the subject for the BBC, National Geographic, and the Discovery Channel. The conservationist believes the zoo is banning this interaction in the short term to, quote, to prevent competition between the gorillas who gets the desired spot of getting to look at the phone, end quote. So he's looking at it purely from you've got the window. It's my turn to get the window. I get to see what's out there while,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's going to cause some competition in animals that have a tendency to be highly competitive anyhow. So that is not how that works. Sort of like inmates trying to get to the telephone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And however, that this gentleman thinks that there, quote, should be a better way of dealing with it in the long term, as it's a shame to take away that positive communication for them, end quote. So he's not saying that it was actually the cell phone itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that competition between the different gorillas to get to see and view the cell phone. And Redmond continued, quote, it's an example of the cognitive abilities of gorillas, which is fascinating when you watch their reactions to the phones. It's communication very clearly between beings, which is why it's gone viral. It's self-evidently fascinating that they are understanding. The gorilla was making much eye contact with the person as the phone, or as much eye contact with the person as the phone. So they weren't just interacting with the phone, they were interacting with the human who was showing them the phone. And the communication was revealing as it's something the public may not have seen before, end quote. Redmond believes that once the public see how intelligent gorillas are and how good their communication is, they may start to think they don't belong in zoos. Well, no shit.
Yeah, for real.
And he stated,
if people would just stop fucking hunting them.
And he stated, quote, from these viral videos, the public have the opportunity to see the communication between these two beings. If they see how intelligent they are, they start to realize they shouldn't be in a quiet sanctuary without people, or shouldn't they be in a quiet sanctuary without people banging on the glass? The public are starting to question the ethics of it. My personal view is that animals like gorillas have a job to do in the forest. It performs better for the species with them there. By keeping them in zoos, we're not respecting the order of the ecosystem, end quote. Well, he's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
But like Kid said, when you've got people hunting and killing them to the point of extinction, that's counterproductive.
Mm-hmm. Very.
Because even some of these places that they have these open air sanctuaries and stuff like that, poachers go in there all the damn time.
They do.
And it is just shameful.
Very
It's
shameful.
And however, that this gentleman added that the stimulation of the phone and the person for the gorilla individually is a positive and fascinating thing, end quote. I don't know whether it is or not.
Is it?
Excuse me.
Because, like, there's people that give their pet monkeys, like, iPads and such, and it's just like the fucking children.
Right. Right. And we don't have a clue what it is doing to the children. We really don't.
And this is comparing gorillas to these little monkeys that people have in their houses that are in diapers. Little tiny baby diapers.
Well, I wonder about the ethics
that
of
they
some
literally
of those
hand them
too.
like an iPad or something.
I don't believe in doing that to small humans.
I don't either. I think technology has honestly gone way too far.
Well, it's just like we were discussing before.
But maybe that's just me, and this is coming from a 24-year-old.
No, I don't. No, I think the fact that it is coming from a 24-year-old is very significant. Because at your age, if you can see that it's getting stupid, those of us my age and older are like, what the hell is going on?
It's not just stupid. It's scary because of you don't at this point we don't know what's real and what's not online.
Right, especially with the AI and the deep fakes and all that stuff that's going on. And it's...
Yeah, with literally AI auto-generating text, doing the voices. You can do the deep fakes, like you said. All of that shit.
Well, I think that it's not that I am against technology of any sort, but I think that it needs to be used with discretion and wisdom. It's like any other tool. You know, you don't give a 3-year-old a hammer usually.
Well, these people are not.
Put that hammer down.
These people are not 3-year-olds, and they're certainly not acting like 3-year-olds, and they're doing all sorts of fucking destruction with it.
Sure.
Sorry for the F-bombs.
Even with radio and stuff, that used to be a family event because there were limitations as far as how long these things... There was a time, child, that radio wasn't on 24/7.
The what was on?
Radio.
Yeah.
There was a time that it was like that with TV. And that these were family events, that the family would gather, they would choose whichever show that they wanted to listen to or watch because there weren't that many choices.
See, the only thing that would make that time unbearable was the lack of music available.
Well, there was music.
Like,
I mean, as far as they had records.
Relatively available.
They had records, but you still had communities that would have functions.
But you couldn't find music as easily as you can now.
Well, that's true. I mean, it was different.
And to have it all the time.
Right.
If you needed it.
But it was one of those things that there were other activities that took place. People went out and actually did things.
Yeah.
They had friends. They had, like I said, it was church groups would do things. You had the youth groups. You had parents that had different groups and stuff. And so it was not as pervasive. And then it became pervasive. And you've got to, I don't believe in coincidence. And they call this, as far as with the TV and stuff, they call it programming for a reason.
Literally, MK Ultra.
Yeah. And we don't know that there's not some kind of frequency that's being transmitted through the TVs, through any of the electronics, through I don't even know if they've got this 5G thing up and running or whatever.
That's more than likely what they use media for anyway, is social programming as far as MK Ultra.
Right. We have no idea, as far as living in homes with electricity and stuff, while it's remarkably convenient, we have no clue what that is doing to us as humans. We don't.
No.
And so now they're dealing with all these other frequencies, and I have heard David Icke and Alex Jones both warn for years about this 5G stuff. And it's concerning. And even as far as the gorillas that are in the zoos and stuff like that, where they are interacting with humans, is that necessarily a good thing? It's almost like a domesticated stray in some ways. It's feral, but it's not. And these creatures are sort of in limbo because they're not in the wild. They are not in any kind of sanctuary, but they are in these places for their protection.
I mean, if you're
so what do you do? I mean, this is one of those moral dilemmas.
Biblically, we are made to get along with all the animals and vice versa.
Right.
But because of shit happened,
it's not that not everybody believes or follows the Bible.
Case, they should be they should just be watched from afar. Not interacted with, just watched from afar.
Right.
Like, leave them alone.
But they still, they have to be fed. From what my understanding of the zoos and different things like that, this is not where they can go out and do normal things that they would do in the wild.
No,
which is
they all
forage.
They
or
become dependent on those
absolutely.
caretakers and stuff like that.
And that constant interaction with humans. And that's going to be
It ain't
passed
good.
down to their offspring. And it's like,
They'll
God
also
help us if we do this Planet of the Apes thing. And I was telling Kid, he has not seen the original Planet of the Apes. That was 1968. And with Charlton Heston. I have not watched the remake because I don't do remakes.
Mm-hmm.
But that movie scared the shit out of me as a child. Of course, in 68, I would have been 3. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it was somewhere there about that. And I'm like, wow, it's a parental lapse of judgment to let a child that small watch that movie. Especially while Vietnam was going on and I would hear the news about the gorillas in the jungles. Yeah. So I thought it was monkeys with guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
Damn.
within that,
Monkeys with guns. Imagine they do got opposable thumbs.
They do have.
thumbs.
they do have.
Don't know what just happened there. My mouth just.
It's okay. Because
Everything
we're
just shut
getting ready
down.
to have a full moon and a blue moon at that in Pisces. So it's going
Love
to be
that.
emotional. Watch for people being overly emotional during this period of
Yeah, I
time.
love that.
But genetic memory, and I do believe, this has been proven. I don't have the references right in front of me, but memory is passed down to future generations.
That's what I was. Yeah, literally, and that's not good
Well, not necessarily.
because
I mean,
the ones that have been mistreated,
Right.
their children will also remember.
absolutely. Absolutely, they'll remember. And it's like, because that these are animals, we don't know that they have the capacity to forgive. Humans have the capacity, but they don't often do that.
Do we not remember that elephant? It trampled that woman in her grave because it remembered her.
Yeah.
It trampled her damn casket, her included.
Well, I don't blame the animal. I really don't. That was like that story that we read. What was it? There, not that long ago, that they had, somebody was, I don't know, he was somebody that was executed, and then years later they dug him up, beheaded him, burned him at the stake, put his head on a pig post, or
Yeah.
outside of the castle.
It's like, nah, that's just fucking petty.
Yeah, that's petty. I mean, what the hell? Really?
That's
Really?
beyond petty.
But how is that any less petty than people going back 10, 20, 30, whatever years and digging up something from somebody's past and using it against them?
Are you talking about virtually, like on the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is petty as shit.
How the
and
hell
that
is that
is
not
like
the same damn thing?
literally, it is digging up basically another dead human that is gone. Because
And it's
people
like-
change over time. Some people don't, but people do.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that do change over time.
We would hope that it's part of the journey during this existence is to try things, including making mistakes,
Yeah.
to learn from them, to
Yes.
correct our behavior, to forgive ourselves and other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what concerns me about humanity and the way that it is going at this point. I'm a fan of humanity. I truly am. Because within each and every human is that spark of God. And it's
Yes.
just, even those that are so mired in darkness right now, we can't forget that that is a human.
People are lacking compassion right now. And that is one of the main issues.
Right.
Where is everybody's fucking compassion for one another?
If you have a society that is so hedonistic and narcissistic that they can't see beyond their own face, they don't even know that other people are out there. When people are sitting there too busy taking selfies, worried about whether they've got a hair out of place or not, do you think that they're really going to care about somebody else?
No.
Right. And Kid and I, we could do a whole, which we won't, but we have in the past as far as a presentation about the prison population, especially how the mentally ill are treated in today's world in this. It is an industry. It's despicable. It's blood money.
It is blood money.
I hate it. And anybody that takes part in that to hurt these people.
It literally feels like it's ramping up quickly. Like it's the boss battle.
It does feel like the boss battle.
We are literally like, it's that last 30 minutes of the boss battle. And we are in that weird 6 minute limbo.
Yeah.
6, maybe 15 minute.
Well, that's why we pray. That's why we continue to pray. And we ask for people, remember those that are forgotten. Because everybody's got a story.
Yeah.
And saved by the grace of God, therefore go I. See, that's what I recognize about myself. I recognize that, those two wolves.
Mm-hmm.
In that constant struggle.
From what little video games I have played, actually genuinely played and beaten, it doesn't take that long to beat the boss.
You just have to learn the strategy of the enemy. Because they're usually predictable. And after you get that strategy down, that pattern down, absolutely.
It's absolutely predictable.
Mm-hmm. Forces of darkness, in a lot of ways, the same thing. They may have different toys, but it's the same strategy. Steal, kill, and destroy.
And so what do you do? Like, when you see the first boss, you take a step back, you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
You watch its moves.
You observe it.
And then when it's like hit like a sort of resting point, that's when you whack it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you ain't gonna land a hit while it's swinging wildly.
Exactly.
So wait for it to tire itself out for a second.
Mm-hmm. And the enemy is just, it's pulling out all the stops, and it's just a matter of proper battle strategy.
Yes.
Yeah. So as far as, please don't give the smartphones, which I think that's one of those oxymorons.
Don't give children smartphones. Don't give monkeys smartphones.
No. Read children books. Tell children stories.
Yes.
Go out and pick a dandelion with a kid. Show it a blade of grass.
Walk them in nature.
Show it that it can, stomp through a mud puddle and play in the mud, and it washes off when you get them inside.
Teach them the realm of imagination.
Absolutely. Because that is a realm without limit.
It is.
Yeah.
Because when you
books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, books. That's a wonderful example of imagination.
It is. Because you create the story inside your head.
You do.
With just a little guidance from the author.
Yeah.
Movies, that's somebody else's vision. They're enjoyable, but it takes no audience participation.
No.
Books have audience participation.
Yes.
Oh.
And a lot of the time the books are better than the movies.
Always. It becomes part of your journey. If it is a really, really good book.
Yes.
That you can pull out a quote from some of those books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm a fan of them. Love them. The smartphones, not so much.
Though we don't read them as often as we should.
I read basically all day, every day.
But you read on a computer, so
I do read on a computer.
It's not the same as reading an actual book.
But at this point, my eyes are different.
Yeah. Because I'm like, that's something I need to do too, is read actual books.
But to be able to sit down and be quiet or have something, and the feel of the page, just that tactile sensation with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's one of the reasons that people will binge eat during a movie or something like that. They're lacking that tactile part of the experience that you have with the book.
Yeah. That's what I think it is.
Have a book and a cup of coffee or a cup of hot tea or something.
Or just sit there in your bed with a lamp.
Especially comic books. Comic books are great for kids.
Like have the covers over your bed with the flashlight or just reading.
Our comic books used to be great until everything went woke and went to shit.
Yeah.
But there are some good comics out there. It just you have to search for them.
Invader Zim.
You have to search for them. But it's a matter of, it's interesting. We are in a time like no other.
It's terrifying. It's scary.
It is scary. Change is always scary.
Yeah.
But to not be afraid and to encourage each other.
I don't know. I ain't going with no new world order.
No, I'm not talking about that. Not talking about that at all. Those are the bad guys. Yeah. Final thoughts on giving the animals.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's not a good idea.
Well, it's a matter of trying to educate the people that would kill these creatures for whatever. I think the reason
Trying
was
to educate
some kind
them?
of crazy trophy or something.
People have educated them for years, and they just don't fucking care. Somebody should poach the poachers.
Well, I think that would be okay. I wonder if you could have an open season on poachers.
You know what? I wish we would. I wish we would have open season on poachers.
I think that opens a whole other kettle of fish of human badness. I think it's called the purge.
Oh, we're not far off from that. We really are not far off from that. There have already been people trying to make that a legitimate thing.
Yeah. It's kind of scary. Anyhow, if you've had experiences with paranormal or supernatural encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, let us know your thoughts about the cell phones and the smartphones and the gorillas. Jane Goodall. I was a fan of Jane Goodall. She did excellent work.
They're getting them
I grew up watching Wild Kingdom, folks.
They're getting them addicted to that dopamine rush.
Yeah. Marlon Perkins did not give the primates cell phones.
No.
Neither did Jim. He would throw Jim's ass out there to wrestle those anacondas. And Jim. God love him. God love him. Anyhow, you can email us cupofcoffeewithscream at gmail.com, and the email address is there in the description box, and I'll put the link to the article. Jim was, I don't remember what Jim's last name was, but on Wild Kingdom, Marlon Perkins was the older adventurer. And Jim was the one that was actually out there in the field because Marlon was elderly and he was back in the studio and he threw Jim's ass out there to wrestle whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
I had a hell of a lot of respect for Jim.
Yeah.
So,
if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that notification button for daily notifications of our daily uploads. Thank you all, and have a good.
Know that you're loved.
Yes.
Remember, pray for those that people have forgotten. Pray for those that you dislike, especially.
Yes.
They're the ones that they have forgotten that they have that spark of God within them. They need to be reminded of that each and every day.
Yes.
So, Lord willing, we'll see you on the next cup.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.